Good morning and top of the well to you watching right now in the mind, in the body, at a soul level, and actually for people to join in and discuss and share openly what they're experiencing. So feel free at any point to use the comments. I see all the comments across YouTube, X, and Facebook. However, given the platform that I'm on, I can't reply to comments on my Facebook. They only go into YouTube, something that StreamYard needs to sort out. So I hope you brought a brew this morning. Drop us a comment in the chat, like where you're coming from, where you're tuning in from each day, and yeah, get involved in the conversation. So there's always lots to talk about. There's always lots of disinformation out there, and there's also a lot of chaos, and it's hard to disseminate between all the chaos. Life is very much up and down, like a roller coaster at the minute. We're all being taken on this crazy ride, but we're all peeling back the layers of the things that we need to. That's something that's very, very obvious. We're all going through our own individual journeys. We've all been through our own trials and tribulations over the last 6 years plus. And we've got to remember that all of what we're experiencing is actually for us. We can get so caught up in everything's happening to us. We all know that the government aren't our friends. It doesn't matter what country you live in. Doesn't matter whether you live in the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Europe, South Africa, or the United Kingdom. The same agendas have been waged on we the people in many, many different forms. Okay, the template and the goal is the same. It just looks different on the surface in each country. And if I go back to back in the days of 2020, 2021, when I was doing my podcast probably 3 times a week, interviewing people from all over the world, that's what became clear and obvious, is the clear attack on humanity, the clear agenda to get to our children in every single country via different means, whether that be through poisoning and programming of the adults or medical interventions, as we've seen through COVID. It's all about getting to the children, and it always has been. It's all about softly using strong programs and neuro-linguistic programming to program the parents into a certain mindset so that the kids will happily be conditioned themselves and take on those poisons and more, and queue up for every shot going, right? And that's basically what the main goal is in every country when it comes to our children. Now, we might ask ourselves, well, why is that? Why do they want to get to our kids? Well, we only have to look at the times we're in, ladies and gents, to understand that we are in the most prolific times in human history, where the higher self is literally embodying the human body, okay, the first time in your existence. So that comes with expansion of the body. It comes with releasing of all the old energies, all the old timelines, all the old experiences, all the old versions of you, okay? And part of that is realizing your ultimate truth in this game, okay? Because this is a simulation, this is a video game, this is a movie, so to speak, and you are the main character. The fact that you're even tuned in and watching this is all part of your story, just to create little activations and deeper knowings and wisdom within you. That's literally it, right? It's not like, oh, I need to get up in the morning and listen to everything AJ says because I believe it. It's actually an opportunity for you to get more jigsaw pieces for your puzzle. And that's why I wanted to do these daily videos rather than just written posts and things that people can actually interact with themselves and actually find your voice. There's a lot of this is what it's been about. Okay, the chaos, the carnage, the disruption, the disinformation, the deceit, the lies, like all the corruption, all of it has all been a correlation of multiple programs to stop you, to stop us as individuals from ascending into higher states of consciousness. Okay, all of it. So if you think about all the poisoning, all the division within communities, all of the all the ways that we create division, whether it's through race, gender, vaccine status, whatever that may be, okay, sports teams, etc. Like all of this is created to keep you apart from community, to keep you apart from your family, to keep you further down the stream of ascension. Okay, and what I mean by that is it's an individual journey to you remembering who you are at a core level. So beyond all the programs, beyond all the fakery, beyond all the illusions, beyond all the poisons, beyond all the shame, guilt, and self-sabotage and everything that you've waged on yourself. Okay, the self-love that we've kind of had knocked out of us and chipped out away at us, like since we were little kids. Boys don't cry, all this kind of stuff. All right. But we're now at an amazing stage in human history where we're releasing all of that to allow all of the new to come into our being and to actually embody it. All right. Millions of people all around the world are not just waking up. Okay. They're having things activated in them that are actually connecting them to the deeper aspects of who they are. So lots of people out there are suddenly finding their shamanic voice. They're being drawn to plant medicine ceremonies. They're being drawn to drumming circles. They're being drawn to sound baths, gong baths, like all this kind of stuff, because the body and the mind are starting to recognize frequency, vibration, sound at a deeper conscious level. And it's beautiful to see. And I guess we only have to look at our own journey of where, like, me and Corin started several years ago, where I was doing like talks and then, around the body, the mind, teaching people about energies and energy centers and different layers of emotions and all this kind of stuff, followed by a breathwork session. That evolved, in line with general consciousness to sound baths, gong baths, and then my breath work. And then that evolved to me and Corin fully running the whole sessions where we were doing cacao ceremonies, sound bowls, meditation, breath work, etc., and taking people on a deeper journey as we were evolving. And that's been like a huge, beautiful trend, not only to go through ourselves, but to also witness in others. And that's what led us to build the community that we've built. Predominantly it's online, but we do a lot of like in-person events. Lots of people in the community then end up coming to our retreats in Portugal, end up coming to see us here at the fort in Lincoln, for whether it's for one-to-one work with Corin, or whether it's group work, or whether it's my breath work courses, whatever it may be. We've kind of gone on this beautiful journey together, individually and together as union, pretty much in line with how we're seeing consciousness raising across humanity in general. And that's why our business is called Mission Consciousness, because that is the mission. And we've all got a mission, ladies and gents. And I'm sure many of you are starting to realize that now. You're getting a soft calling or a loud calling, deep within inside, that's calling you to, higher powers or greater means, or, a greater journey. You may have known this for a long time. I myself had this deep feeling that I was kind of destined for different things, in the future. And I'm very much living that now. And that's what I'm trying to do on a daily basis. From the minute my feet hit the floor in the morning, my sort of mindset is very much about what can I create today? What can I help our people in our community create? How can we support these soldiers in our community that have just been fighting and battling, all of these agendas, for so long now, and everybody's tired, everybody's withered. We're all at this we're all just chin strapped, as we call it in the military, right? And to a point where we've all had enough. And then the next week something else comes in, and then the next week something else comes in, and then the next week something else comes in. So I totally get it, ladies and gents. I totally get how much you can just chip away at our soul, and we can sit there daily going like, my God, when's this going to end? But what we're seeing collectively is all of the darkness all coming to the surface, being brought to the surface at once. And it's not just some one magic being that's going right, press the button, it's go time, let's just get all the truths out there. It's the collective consciousness, right? It's the rise in humanity's abilities. It's the activation of so many people's gifts coming online, because we're all light workers across the world, right? Everyone who's here is a soul-based being in this simulation is here to anchor in light into key nodes around the world, key nodes on the grid, whether that be United Kingdom, United States, Canada, wherever. We're all here with a specific mission. individually, to awaken to who we are, to remember who we are, and to anchor in key light codes and our keys and codes that we hold within our DNA, because we all have very unique DNA, into those points in the grid. So I was always destined to be here in Lincoln with Corin, for example. You watching, you were destined to be where you are, or you're in the process of rapidly up in sticks and going to where you're called to. Okay, it's because we're all soldiers, and I say this all the time at our talks and events and stuff like that. You don't need to have been in the military in this current lifetime to be a soldier. Okay, you're all soldiers. You've all been through your battles. You've all been through your trials and tribulations. Pretty much everybody watching has been through. Because I don't have soulless beings watching my content. Okay, it's not for them. It's for people who are on a very much an awakening stage, discovering who they are at deeper soul level, and coming more into their shamanic elements of self, wanting to learn deeper things around their galactic versions of themselves, are getting much into shamanic practices and things like that. That's very much where the people who are on that journey are the ones that are attracted to my content, and it's because we've been on this journey ourselves. I've been through all the mother wounds. It's taken me a year and a half since my mother passed away. Lots of deep medicine work, whether that be with grandmother medicine, ayahuasca, whether that be with mushrooms, working with Cambo, working in and serving all these medicines to beautiful people out there from different parts of the world. That's been part of my journey to help me remove all guilt and shame and things from the past, things we hold deep within us since birth. Many other people are coming into our circles and our communities, or just connecting with us on social media, like at a soul level, because there's suddenly a resonance there. I'm sure you can agree, and I bet there's people nodding their heads right now going, yeah, people have come into my life recently who I didn't know on protests, I didn't know at talks, I didn't know in communities and stuff, because your frequency is at that particular level where it's just activating things in people all over the world. And this is how this beautiful magnetic grid works. Okay, we are anchoring in certain elements of light into certain nodes and places where we are. We then go on our travels and we do what we need to do, but also those signals literally get sent out into the ether, and it activates things in other people. And suddenly you might find people coming into your DMs and things like that, or just making contact with you, or you're bumping into each other face to face, and there's a sudden like, holy shit, I know you. Yeah, and we're seeing this every day. And that's what we love about our retreats as well in Portugal, is because every single person who's there, we literally sit back now just like this, just watch, literally pull up a sandbag and a brew, and just watch all these people just reconnect, all these souls reconnect, and they've all known each other for many, many times before, and it's so beautiful to see. And we're seeing that much more on a daily basis, like not just in our community, like wherever we go. And this is this ability of ours to create and manifest the actual new earth that we want. All right, and that's why we're seeing all of these dark truths coming to the surface. Right, everything's being exposed because the collective consciousness is literally working together, creating this beautiful harmonic grid through heart and head coherence across the lands, whether it be in the physical plane or whether it be in the astral plane. I get DMs on a daily basis of people who said that me and Corin were in their dreams, and it's happening all the time. And it's that's part of it, because we're connecting in the astral as well, and it's so cool. And I actually count my blessings, ladies and gents. So I genuinely do on a daily basis. Like, just the fact that I'm sat here right now doing this live across a few platforms, talking about this, is actually a blessing in itself. And I always show a lot of gratitude for that. And it's one of the things I actually want to talk about in this first kind of like morning episode, is talking about that, the power of community and how it's been ripped apart. And I'm sure that you've all had your own versions of events. Obviously, the main instigator of this, started in 2020. And I think an important thing to talk about at the moment is the influx and just magnitude of the truths coming out about the origins of COVID and about their new medicine, obviously, aka the vaccines, the shots. There's widespread news coming out everywhere of Dr. Fauci. In fact, I'm not going to call him a doctor. He doesn't even deserve the title. The character that is Fauci, that obviously there's stuff being shared all over the mainstream media, predominantly in the United States. The UK media are purposely, got a blackout on this because they don't want people in the United Kingdom waking up as rapidly to the truths about the origins of COVID and the purpose of the vaccines. Most people by now have worked out for themselves, whether they had the shots or not, that they weren't in the best interests of the people. Okay. There was many agendas behind this giant program that was the COVID vaccines, but also everything else that came with it. So if you think about the whole COVID era as a whole, that was a war in itself. So for me, I refer to it as like Modern Warfare 3, literally like Call of Duty, the game. Okay, we've been taught about World War I, World War II. And those of you who've done your research and been down those rabbit holes for many years know what the world wars were really about. Okay, everything from mass sacrifice to people getting rich, to culling the earth, to bringing in new pharmaceutical interventions, new weaponry systems, so the defense companies all get rich, you're all owned by the same people, etc., etc., etc. Destroy and remove Tartarian buildings and artifacts in history. There's so many reasons why these world wars have started. Now, cast forward to 2020, this for me was the start of Modern Warfare 3 on we the people. So instead of bombs and bullets, it was psychological, it was spiritual, it was emotional, and it was physical. Okay, so this war was waged upon us through fear, because this simulation and this game, this movie, thrives on fear. So we have two main states of emotion. We have love, we have fear. Okay. So keeping people in low level states of emotion and fear for maximum years prior to carrying out an operation is imperative. It is one of the main tactics. So if you actually think about pre-2020, the majority of the world were basically programmed into believing that germ theory was the thing, so that we actually pass on germs and viruses to each other. This indoctrination starts from school. This indoctrination starts from us running around with little doctor's kits, with little plastic vaccines in. So we're all there at like 2-3 years of age, all running around jabbing each other. Okay, it's all mind control that starts from an early age. Okay, through repetition, through our parents being programmed, through their parents being programmed, etc., etc. So that when we come to a time like 2020, the majority of the world thinks you need a pill for every ill, you need a vaccine for every threat, and you need to listen to absolutely everything that the doctor and the media tells you. Okay, so that's where we were at in 2020. A large population in the world were programmed into that mentality. That is no one's fault. No one is to blame. Okay, we were all very much on our own versions of our own hamster wheel, going about our day-to-day lives, paying our mortgages, paying our council taxes, paying our utilities, paying all these things. And then bam, all of a sudden, a worldwide threat is imminent that gets beefed up every single day. Okay, repetition, using media, using doctors, using influencers, using basically any kind of asset that they could to encompass a general message worldwide through repetition of media that there was a threat of a virus out there that was going to kill everybody, or as many people as possible. However, the symptoms were like flu-like symptoms and the loss of taste and smell. So to program people into that kind of reality, and then for the masses to co-manifest that fear, to co-manifest that illusion, to co-manifest that virus, because that's what's happened. The dark agendas, or the baddies, let's call them, know that we are powerful, holographic, energetic, electromagnetic beings that can create from the heart through the head to heart coherence, and that we create our reality individually and collectively. So what do you do then? If you know thy enemy, if you know the enemy's strengths and you know the enemy's weaknesses, well, you use their strengths against them without them even knowing it. So you use their abilities to co-manifest, you use their abilities to co-create. So you get them to co-create that fear. So you collectively get them to sit in front of their tell-I vision or tell-A vision, whatever you want to call it, every night at the same time. So they all know, they're all programmed already, pre-programmed, that they need to sit in front of the box at the same time and then listen to authority, or what we've deemed as authority, because that's what we've been programmed into, that we need to listen to our prime minister, that we need to listen to our member of parliament, that we need to listen to someone in a white coat with a badge and a lanyard who's got a PhD. Okay, we've all been programmed into those realities. Okay, and that starts obviously in school, standing there listening to your teacher waffle on about pretty much 99% nonsense for 12 years until you're on your own, scratching your ass, don't know what to do with your life. All right, we've all been through that process. So that's where we were at in 2020. Obviously, there were a lot of people around the world that were seeing through it very early on, myself included. But this was based on my own experiences. So obviously, having been in the military for 15 years, served in Iraq and Afghanistan, Sierra Leone, I'd already seen my own version of events in places like these, which wasn't stacking up, based on the fact we were there for the war on terror, which when I saw the 9/11 attacks happen in real time in 2001, when I was 19, I knew straight away then that it didn't sit right with me. So obviously I was going to these theaters, is what they call them, based on an illusion already. So when it came to 2020 and I was in Sierra Leone doing some charity work, working with the amputees and the rape victims from the Blood Diamond Civil War, okay, that was created and instigated by the British government, I was there being told by the local people that the CDC took Ebola there, that they used medical interventions on the people there and killed loads of people, trialing it on them, aka remdesivir. Before COVID even started, I knew all these things existed, and that actually was happened. So when I'm watching people in China body popping on the floor in a suit, frothing at the mouth, and they're trying to pass it off as some crazy virus, I knew straight away, pre-March 2020, that was all bullshit, and they were going to try and put the world under a smoke screen and bring out a vaccine probably. And that was off the back of having a really bad experience with the anthrax vaccines in 2003 prior to Iraq. Okay, I literally felt like I was going to fucking die of them, and so did other people. It literally sparked my intuition as how is this normal? How is other people experiencing the same thing? And like we're guinea pigs. And then obviously, lo and behold, there was no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, right? So I'd already had all these experiences beforehand, before 2020 even started. Then I started finding there was other people like me, thinking like me, like there was many other people who were in a more awakened state, and I had a higher state of consciousness prior to this event taking place. What I then watched unfold around me was all my family, for example, buying into it. I was already doing a podcast at the time, and it was called something different. And I changed it to the AJ Roberts Show, and I started reporting on the data, and I started getting people on my podcast, like doctors and scientists. I was even getting teachers from New Zealand, right, and what they were experiencing. I was getting people from Australia on my podcast whose husbands were killed in hospitals with remdesivir in the most brutal way. I was interviewing people in Canada when the truckers were protesting. I was interviewing people in the United States, people in the military, people from all over the world, ex-police officers. I was showing the magnitude of the child trafficking, which was coinciding with war, because in any war, whether it's psychological, emotional, or spiritual, it comes with a copious amount of people trafficking, child trafficking. Every single time. It's one of the main reasons why wars are started, because it displaces people to borders, and it is a trafficker's dream. So I was reporting loads on the magnitude of the trafficking during that period as well, to try and show the world, actually, this is the war that we are facing. It's a war on our children, for our children's energy. It's a war on our DNA. It's a war on our consciousness, and it's a war on our ascension process. It was very much a fight period, wasn't it? For like 2020, 2021, 2022, it was all protests. It was, we closed down vaccine centers. We were constantly reporting on, like, across social media, beyond the magnitude of censorship that I went through. I'm pretty sure I went through 5 YouTube channels, all being banned Funnily enough, they've all been allowed back onto the platform. Weirdly enough, funny that. I went through several Instagram channels, Facebook, multiple 10-day, 30-day bans, like month after month after month. And many other people went through that same process as well. Um, so the main idea of that game really was to show people that we are in World War III, coming from somebody who's ex-military, and our community, which had lots of ex-military people in it, that could see it all for what it is and what it was. Off the back of that, obviously, the programming was there to be seen in full on the public. Okay, I shared a video the other day of that notorious video of Matt Wanksock sitting there on Good Morning Britain. I remember the date, for obviously for a reason, December the 8th, 2020, sat there on GMB, pretending to cry, with Piers Morgan doing the interviewing. And then lo and behold, he literally shared with the world that it's such a great time to be here. We've just had William Shakespeare receive the first vaccine. I mean, that in itself, telling you that William Shakespeare was the first man to have the vaccine in the UK, should have pricked up alarm bells in many people. But again, each of these things has been a test of the individual and the collective consciousness, and how easy or not people bought into scarcity, fear, and illusion through mainstream media, and obviously the MPs and everybody else out there, right? That were waging that war on us. You know, on the same day, I interviewed Dr. Peter McCulloch, who many of you have heard of, many of you know of, who's one of the leading cardiologists in the United States. On the same day, I interviewed him at a time where kids in the United States were dropping like flies with myocarditis from these jabs. A member of my family put on their Facebook, #get boosted. I mean, if you're ever going to experience some duality, ladies and gents, throughout this whole freaking chaos, that was it for me. Like me interviewing this cardiologist in America versus a member of my family putting #get boosted on their Facebook. So you can see the disparity and the polarity between the hive mind and the people who were already awakened to what was going on with everything, right? And this absolutely shocked me to the core. I was just like, wow. But then it was, again, a lesson for myself. It was a massive wake up call for me to go deeper into human consciousness, deeper into mind control, deeper into what we were facing and the threats we were facing as humanity and as a collective. So that was a journey in itself. But then what I witnessed was, from in my own personal family, and obviously I can only speak for myself, I witnessed lots of sickness, lots of illness, and several deaths from these inoculations. Now, for me personally, and I know there's a lot of people, millions out there who are in the same boat, all we were doing was coming from a place of love, also slightly from a place of fear. We have to acknowledge that, because none of us wanted to see our family get hurt. We were all in fear that our families were buying into all of the misinformation, all of the lies, all of the deceit, all of the corruption, and they were literally walking into a minefield, and that's a fucking horrible, scary place to be in. It really is. And those of you watching can cast your mind back to them times, say how horrible that was for people like us who are watching our family literally walk into a minefield with freaking mines everywhere. And those mines represent blood clots, strokes, myocarditis, psoriasis, skin conditions, all you name it, right? Heart attacks, all of it, yeah. All of those mines represent those things, and we were watching our family slowly, one at a time, walk into those minefields, playing with their lives. Okay, and that's basically what that time and period was like for us. Now, a lot of us have also experienced people in our friends and families who went down that path, who actually woke up because of that experience. And I always stressed how powerful that actually is. Okay. I've witnessed so many people in my family and so many people in our community who initially had the vaccines because they were doing what they thought was the right thing for them and their family. That cannot be denied, and that has to be acknowledged. Okay. People can't be victimized or vilified because of their choices in 2020, 2021, because of the magnitude of the mind control. We were all under some form of illusion at some part of our lives. Okay. Others have broken through these states of illusion at the right time because they're supposed to. Okay. For many people, COVID and the vaccines were always going to wake people up. And we've got the most amazing, beautiful souls in our community who had one or two or three, some form of vaccines, but now are on this most amazing path of self-realization, self-actualization, and just glowing because they've done the work on themselves. They've healed the aspects of themselves. They've removed that AI technology from their field, and that's because that's what it is. The technology in the Biden slash Pfizer slash AstraZeneca shots is all about getting maximum amounts of AI into the body and to the field of the person so they can later be controlled. Okay, that's what it is. That's what this technology is. That's what this military grade technology in these shots were. All right, that's why they were happily pushing it on their own soldiers because, again, easy to control, easy to obey, and they're already in that deep state of programming where they're listening to their commanders. All right, I've got so many friends, people that I serve with, who got very badly harmed by them. Some of my friends have to take medications for the rest of their life, or they go into a coma. You know, but at the same time, they've woken up to all of this. They're literally talking about the galactic aspects of themselves. They're meditating. They're doing breath work. They're sitting in drumming circles. They're doing all this kind of stuff. They're doing the work on themselves. And I guess in an instant, that's where a lot of our frustrations have come from as well. So the people that saw right through it early and got frustrated and got upset and cried many nights because we didn't know if something was going to happen to our family, we were all coming from a place of love and fear because we didn't want to see anything happen to our family. But at the same time, it's activating deeper things within us. Okay, because it's then set everybody on this amazing path of self-discovery, self-realization. Many people who are awakened or an awakening journey pre 2020 and because of 2020 have started finding their soul family. Okay, and that's what many people in our community have done. Many people who had the shots, it activated them into this deeper state of knowing that the medical world, the education systems, the 9 to 5, the food industry, the drinks industry, big tech, big pharma, all of that stuff, the whole process of 2020 and this war on we the people has actually taught us all what the threats are, where they come from, and actually how this beast system actually works on a grander, greater level, right? We've all experienced that. Um, and that comes with individual teachings. So it's important that we take those teachings that we learned from this whole paradigm, really, over the last 6 years that's been created really for us. And we talk about the military is the only way. We talk about it's a military operation because that's what it actually is. And a lot of it involves psychology, a lot of it involves mind control. So just as we've all been mind controlled and brainwashed into certain belief systems throughout our whole life, this whole psychological process and this whole psychological war has been flipped on its head as well to deprogram us so that we can be reprogrammed with our gifts, with our deeper intuition, with our universal wisdom, with our cosmic origins, with our abilities to think deeper and do greater and create the reality that we actually want to create. And this is actually the process, I guess, and the field that we're in right now. So every single day, me and Corin have people that reach out at the minute who have had one or more of the vaccines or who have got some kind of chronic illness, who are in a real deep state of awakening that is frying their brain. So they're literally have gone from fight, fight, fight mode to what they perceive as like turbo ADHD all of a sudden, because the mind is working 10 times faster and processing 10 times much more information that they're actually struggling with it. And they're struggling with the frequencies of being in this realm, this distorted illusion that's been created for us, this matrix. And they're really struggling with that. So we're getting a lot of people coming to us that are struggling with those processes. So for us, it's beautiful to experience the vast array of what people are going through at the minute. And at the same time, it's not just keeping us on our toes, it's training us constantly as well. It's forcing us to constantly up our game. And that is the art of war that I talk about often. It's about helping your troops heal, because that's what we all are. We're all troops in this war. And a big part of our mission consciousness, is not only to help people raise and elevate their level of consciousness, is actually what we've like to call it. It's about repatriating the troops. It's about bringing the troops collectively back to the ships to reconnect with each other and reconnect with their higher self. Okay. And go into a deep healing process as a result, to heal from these wounds, to heal from this war. Um, and that we can actually help heal the planet. Okay, that is what that is where we are at right now, and that's our mission. Okay, and this is the way I wanted to why I wanted to just do these daily open talks, to just talk freely about this, because the way I'm talking now and the things I've already covered, I don't and I can't talk about that kind of stuff when I'm interviewing people on podcasts, because it's about questions for them. It's about their knowledge and their wisdom and their subject matter expertise, often, more so is the case. And I'll just refer to a question here. I'll get it up from Bruce, actually. He's saying, what's the best way to remove the AstraZeneca tech from the body? I've lost my hearing completely in one ear and I have tinnitus in both ears 24/7. I'm literally a transmitter. I know I am, and I want it gone. Bruce, hope you don't mind me getting this up, buddy. But it's actually a really important question, and we get it a lot. So I'll refer to back I was talking to you about earlier. So if you just put yourself in the mindset, mate, that we're not this human vessel. This human vessel is basically a tool to carry our soul through this journey, so we have these experiences, right? So we're a holographic, energetic, pretty fucking damn awesome human being, right? But we're we're multidimensional holographic beings in a vessel having a human experience. So if we have that mindset first off, and we're like, right, so we're coming from this place, then we discover our assets and our strengths, right? So go back to what I was saying earlier. It's know thy enemy. This is the art of war. So if we understand our greatest weaknesses and our strengths, we can understand where the attacks would come from. And that then teaches us all about mind control and everything else like that, and it gives us a deeper understanding of it and the layers of illusion. So if we, I'll use the board, mate, and I think this would be quite good, right? So I'll use the board. So just excuse me. I'm just going to take this out. So if we have here our body. Okay, this is our human body there. Okay, and we have an electromagnetic field that's around us all the time. You can call it your auric field, your electromagnetic field, whatever you want. Okay, but it's all the same thing. So we have this electromagnetic field that kind of comes off our body, right? Like that. Okay, we then have the crown in the top of the head, all right, which is our connection to source. Okay, to source energy. So if you've been getting a lot of ear ringing as well, you might have felt a lot of tingling and crown sensations around the top of the head. Okay, this is basically your spiritual signal to connecting to source. So we've got our connection to source there. We've also got the ground underneath us, and we should be a beautiful white column of light that is constantly a transmitter, as you rightfully put it there, mate, a conduit of energy, where source energy and downloads and etc. flow freely through the crown and the top of the head into our third eye, giving us more deeper wisdom, deeper understanding, all this kind of stuff, right? It activates our heart. So then our reality, okay, our reality is projected from the heart, right? And that's why we experience Earth the way we do. Okay, Earth is an anagram of heart. So what the technology in these vaccines, okay, and it doesn't matter whether it's Pfizer, AstraZeneca, whatever it may be. The only reason you have your AstraZenecas and your Pfizer, stuff like that, is that so somebody could take praise in different countries, right? The agenda's all the same. All right. So cast your mind back to Wimbledon when the founder of AstraZeneca was given a damehood and all this kind of shit, right? Okay. That's the only reason you have these different countries. So it's like different countries, big farmers are all profiting, but it's all the same agenda. So the agenda is to inject this technology into the human vessel so it bypasses all the body's natural defense mechanisms. So your smell, your taste, and everything else like that, right? It's straight into the bloodstream. What that does is it then, the whole idea is to put mRNA, like luciferic AI technology, into your field. So literally like this. So it's put in the AI into your field, okay, and to cut you off from source. So it's to put caps here, okay. So there's reports everywhere of people saying that like all the people they know have had like multiple vaccines and that. It's like their brain's gone. It's like they've just got like this. They call it the fluoride stare, just like they've been really dumbed down. Again, that's another agenda of the vaccines. Okay, it's multi-facet. So it's to put Luciferic AI into the field. It's to cap the person off from source, hence why it's called coronavirus. Crown equals corona. Okay. Okay. So it's to cap us off from source and keep and insert layers of illusion into the mind. All right. So it's not only putting Luciferic AI into the field, right? It's to create layers of illusion over the mind as well. And that's why we're seeing so many people who've had multiple shots, almost like they're being controlled, can't receive information, all this kind of stuff. That's why the Luciferic AI in the field job is not only to distort the human body, because our human body is a manifestation of our energy centers, right? So if our field is distorted, it's manifested physically in the human body. Yeah. It's manifested in the human body. So when we have a dis-ease, it's because there's something going on in our field. So when people are having reactions to the shots and stuff like that, or having stomach, so lots of people initially had like a lot of stomach issues. There was a lot of stuff around people's menstrual cycles. There was lots of skin conditions and all this kind of stuff. So the body, with skin conditions especially, the body's trying to remove it from the toxin from the body, right? So it manifests as a dis-ease because there's distortion in the field. Now, this is where the shedding comes from as well. So people talk about, oh, this person got jabbed. Oh, don't get in a bed with a jab person. Don't sleep with a jab person, blah, 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 right? We all witness that. It's not shedding because as in they're passing the virus onto you, because if you accept that, then you're accepting that germ theory is a thing, right? You're accepting that we pass viruses to each other. It's the actual AI that's you got the unvaccinated person here, okay, their field, right? It's the AI that's basically its job is to act as literally like lice, okay, and travel through the field of a vaccinated person onto an unvaccinated person, and then it's the distortion in that person's field that's then felt in the unvaccinated person's in their body, and that's why it makes somebody go, they're giving me this, give it, get away, blah blah blah. That was the whole point, because what does it do? It creates massive division between the unvaccinated and the vaccinated. Okay, that's the whole point. So you got people running around all of these protests saying like, you know, that it's got all the brainwashing and the mind control is in the vaccinated to say like, you best get the vaccine or granny's going to die. Fear, 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 fear. Don't come around my house. Don't come around my house at Christmas unless you've had the shot. Da da da. That's the fear programming put into the vaccinated. Okay. And at the same time, you've got the unvaccinated people. The fear in them is if anybody who's vaccinated comes near me, they're going to pass on shedding. Da da da. Again, it is a massive program within the program to show you just how deep these levels are. So to answer your question, mate, what's the best way to remove the AstraZeneca tech from the body? Okay. It's the same for everybody, and this is how we work with people with the work we do. Okay, we get everybody to consciously, okay, disconnect the contract that you made, okay, with that medical intervention. All right, so at some point there is consent, right? Unless you are physically pinned down, right, and like that, okay, at some point there is consent. So first thing we need to do, we need to cut cords with the consent that was given to have that in our body in the first place, okay? Because energetically, it stays in you as a trauma, okay? So we need to remove that trauma, all right? Because what happens is, without removing that trauma, even the word itself, which I actually still think is the most triggering word in the world, the word vaccine, right? I think it's the most triggering word in the world, and it always has been. So you say the word now, people that have had them go, oh, and then a bit of guilt and a bit of regret and a bit of emotion comes in, right? So there's the proof. So we need to cut cords with the contract. So we can do that like with breath work and intention and all that kind of stuff. We work obviously with a lot of plant medicines, and I'm not absolutely not saying that plant medicines help heal vaccines from people, but the people that are in our community and have been through these cycles with us, what we're seeing is that because of the medicines that we work with, it helps heal and reconnect the aspects of the field. Okay, so it's basically giving people basically a more solid baseline so that their auric field is working as it's supposed to be. Okay, so it's removing things from the field. All right. When we remove things from the field like this, we're getting rid of all this distortion. Okay. Then we're removing anything that can distort our being. So we're not going to suffer from dis-ease. Okay. So it's actually doing the inner work on ourselves. It's removing the feelings of guilt, removing the feelings of shame, cutting the cords with the contract of consent, and honoring your vessel. Okay, because at the end of the day, by whether it's the COVID jabs, or whether it's like a flu jab, whether it's like the kids jabs, or any of it, we're not honoring our body by injecting technology into it. Okay, so it's going on a path of honoring our body, going on a path of understanding your true self. And you'll find as soon as you start doing this work, all right, and it's not about motions and lotions and potions and this and that and the other. There's a gazillion protocols out there that are like, happily make lots of money because millions of people had the shots, right? But this one thing is consistent across every single person who had them. Okay, we've all got our own energetic signature to why or to what we experience. Okay, we've got our own energetic signature to the toxins that actually affect our personal body. We've got our own energetic signature to certain alcohols and other toxins that either affect you or don't affect you. Okay, but this is the same across the board. Okay, we create our reality through the heart. All right, and it's relied on with our connection to source. Okay, so it's all about removing these caps of illusion and reconnecting with our and basically clearing our field. Okay, so it does involve elements of spiritual work, and it does involve elements of physical work as well. Okay, and it's actually stepping forward to do the work, and you'll find that, and I can only speak on behalf of all the amazing people in our community that have done this work. Okay, we've seen the change in every single one of them. We've seen the healing in every single one of them, and we've seen people's gifts coming online. So loads of people in our communities, light language has started activating. Okay, because they've done the work on themselves, they've cut those contracts, and they're actually creating the vessel that they're supposed to have for this time. And the beautiful thing about it all, ladies and gents, is that whole journey has unfolded for them. So going back to what I was saying before, with the shots and that, it was always destined for the shots to wake them up. So they then find community, they then find their healing journey, and then they're in full control of that, as well as their bodily autonomy and taking back their sovereignty. This is all part of it. Okay, this is all part of taking back your sovereignty. Okay, 'cause sovereignty is not just about chinning off your council tax and your utility bills. Sovereignty is about taking complete control of your field, your energetic field. Okay, reconnecting your heart and head coherence, sitting in the I am presence. Okay, and reclaiming your I am presence. All right, and that can be done by absolutely anybody. If you've had multiple vaccines, you are not shut off. If you're watching this and you've had vaccines, you are on the right path. Okay, and please give yourselves a pat on the back and know that you are here for a reason, and it's all part of your journey. Take this as permission to fucking remove all that self-sabotage, that guilt, that shame and stuff like that, and speak your truth. Okay, this is another thing with all the shots in the division. It's about shutting that throat off, about shutting off your voice. Okay, so at the same time, at the minute, you've got people all over the country kicking off now because there's all these truths about COVID and the vaccines coming out. You'll see Matt Hancock, old Mr. Wanksock, put back into the limelight many more times over the next current weeks. And it's to expose people, it's to put them on a pedestal, so to remind people of their role in this realm, okay, in this journey. so that as the truths really start coming out, it's a lot easier. There's a softer approach for people to be able to take and understand and accept. If everything was thrown at you, if all the books of all the truths was thrown at you right now about everything all at once, it would fry people's brains. It's got to be done systematically. This is why I was saying yesterday to one of the members of our community. We went to his event last night. Beautiful event. What we were, I said to him, it doesn't make sense for like all the 9/11 files to come out right now, because at the minute 9/11 happened because it was to stop a new financial system coming in. Right, we're on the cusp of a new financial system coming in right now. Okay, it's already in place. However, all the people in their 20s that are teenagers, even people in their early 30s, are too young to really remember it and or witness it and stuff like that to have understood it, and actually the magnitude of like what it then started. So it doesn't make sense to show that all the 9/11 files now before COVID, because all of those eras lived through COVID one way or another. So it makes sense to release the truths about all the COVID stuff, all the jabs, and stuff now, because we all live through that. Okay. And it's for each individual person to take on those emotions and sit with them in their own way. All right. But please know there's no enemy here other than the very people who wanted to profit off you, your children, and your health. Okay. They are the only enemy in this movie. All right. Us, me, the people online, your soul family who are fucking all out there, like, please start finding your tribe. All right. We need to stop trying to wake people up in our family who won't listen to us because they're not supposed to listen to you. That is your lesson. I've experienced this myself. Not one of my family listened to me. Not one of my family listens to me now. Not one of my family come to any of our events because they're not supposed to, because they need to do this journey without me. Okay. Without my interference, without my knowledge and spiritual teachings and all this kind of stuff. They need to go on this part of the journey themselves. Then they'll come back to you when their frequency's higher. Okay. And it's kind of matching your frequency, because right now your frequency's up here and you're trying to lower it. Okay. To try and wake everybody up again. Right. It doesn't work like that. You raise your frequency and your powerful energetic field, right? Yourself, you do your inner work, right? And your frequency is what activates that in others. Sudden knowings and things like that. And this is all part of making peace with the past, okay? And just sitting in the I am presence and finding that peace within you, because you cannot be happy. You will never be happy, okay, if you do not find peace. All right. And that is the goal, ladies and gents, is now to find peace. All right. If you feel that you're a black sheep in the family, yeah, it's because you are. It's a fucking gift. Right. And that's what you've got to accept. Okay. Everything hasn't happened to you, it's happened for you if you feel you're the black sheep. All right. Because you have significant ancient keys and codes and wisdom within your DNA that's for this time. You have all these gifts, all this power, all these deeper understandings for a reason. All right. And that's why you were put through the process first. Okay. Because we had to have way showers. There had to be people like us. There had to, there had to be all these raw emotions of pain and loss and guilt and shame and fear, apathy, all this kind of stuff, because that's what we're here for. We're here to feel all of the emotions. Okay. And when you can feel all the emotions, you are on the right path, because the goals and the agendas of big pharma and big food is to fill us with so much shit and crap, right? That we don't feel in the body, that we don't connect to the land, that we don't create this brilliant column of light that's, flowing beautifully day to day, right? The ebb and flow of life is traveling through us. We're receiving all the downloads that we need to receive. Okay. That is the main agenda, to stop us being a powerful, energetic being and a node on key critical points on the grid of Gaia for this ascension period. So if you're watching and listening, whether you've had jabs or not, right, it doesn't matter, right? It was part of your awakening. We're all part of the same soul family. We're all part of the same tribe. Okay. If you're watching my content and it resonates with you, you're part of the same tribe. All right. That's energetically how this works. I'm literally sending signals like a ping, okay, to you now through vibration, through my voice, okay. And if it's resonating, it's because you're part of that tribe. So it doesn't matter whether you've had shots or not. What's important is that you take yourself on this journey to that version, that greatest version of you. That's all you need to do. All right. That's how you rise. Okay. We don't need to rush out the door and try and get every pill, potion, lotion, this, that, and the other. Okay. You need to sit with what you feel is right for you and your journey. That could be going on a plant medicine journey like I did myself. Okay. And that's hence why I work with them now, because I had to go on that journey to discover them, to work with them so closely, to watch them unfold in ceremonies and one-to-ones, and actually how they actually help people every single time. Okay. That was part of my journey. Some people suddenly blast into being a light worker and they're going around the land, key ley lines, churches, cathedrals, places of interest, like anchoring in pure light because they know that's part of their mission. Okay. Other people are very much going down the healing route, crystals, whatever that may be. Okay. But the key thing is we're all connecting to those ancient aspects of ourselves and ancient practices that have always been there, have always been part of our DNA, that have just been freaking woo-wooed by the establishment, right? So your meditations, your breath work, your sound baths, all this kind of stuff has all been woo-wooed by the establishments to stop us from doing them, stop us from reconnecting with them, and lo and behold, reconnecting with the deeper aspects of ourselves. It's as simple as that. So let's not go on social media and start kicking off because all the truths about the vaccines are coming out now, and that we need to voice our opinion how we were vilified and ostracized and all that kind of stuff, right? Yes, that did happen. Okay. But again, it was for us. You wouldn't be the soldier you are now, trying to help humanity if you didn't experience that in the first place. So we actually need to show a lot of gratitude that we're taking through that journey. Okay. That's my perspective. If you're still holding resentment and anger and stuff like that around it, that's the work that you need to do on yourself right now. Okay. Because we need to be welcoming people into the soul family. All right. Which is all about bringing peace and harmony to the planet and creating new earth, not ostracizing them because of choices people made at the time because they thought and absolutely knew they were doing the right thing. And I always stress that if at the time you absolutely knew that you were doing the right thing, and often it's of service, it's for a family member or their work or something like that, you were right. No one can tell you that you were wrong because it was for you. And like I said, again, you wouldn't be watching this and taking in exactly what I've written here if you knew that if you didn't know that in the first place. Okay. So I wanted to do daily chats like this in the mornings, and you can watch them all back. Obviously, this will be across all my feeds on X and YouTube and Facebook. So you can tune in any time of the day. If you've missed anything, rewatch stuff back. I'll leave it all there. And like I said, it's an open chat, and it's just a good way to get like a positive message away across to people at this time when there's so much chaos, there's so much disconnection, or the constant use of disconnection to keep people as divided as possible. Okay, so my daily doses of reality will hopefully help you level up your own consciousness, and that's what it's about. If anybody wants to obviously discover joining our community at any point, we hold two weekly calls, Monday and a Thursday night, where everyone jumps on and we have the most open conversations about everything from frigging crop circles to off-planet craziness to what's in the news to helping each other out with stuff we're trying to create and build. And obviously we're always supporting many people's events and stuff like that, like we were last night. I've had the fortunate event of being to two of our facilitators who've done our courses events in the recent week, and they've been absolutely mind-blowing to see their journeys going from like daily use of cocaine or stress and disconnection, rock bottom, to then standing there in front of people running these beautiful harmonic events really in their own ways. And I've had the pleasure of doing that in the last week. And they're just going from strength to strength, which I'm absolutely buzzing with. So If anybody wants to join our community, please do so at missionconsciousness.com. At the end of August, what we're planning to do is removing our lifetime membership and just doing it monthly. And this month of August, me and Corin are going to be putting lots of mini courses in the back end of the platform. So it's a very unique platform that we've created. It's ours, so we don't have to rely on being censored by mainstream media. So we can talk freely, open forum. So if any of you want to learn more, get more involved in what we do, and meet more of your tribe, obviously join us on missionconsciousness.com. And if you want to sort of like go down the routes of looking at retreats and things like that, and opening up those deeper aspects of yourself as part of your healing journey, we've got another awesome Portugal retreat coming up at the end of September, 25th to the 30th, on the Algarve, and all the information's on there, as well as all my breathwork facilitated courses and individual coaching packages with Corin. Like, everything is literally on there for anybody who wants to learn more. But I do like I do want to do these every kind of morning, and just let the chat flow. And the whole point of it is to keep people in like solid reassurance that we're on the right path, that you're in the right place, and you're starting to find your tribe as part of your individual and healing journey. Thank you for taking the time to join me this morning, ladies and gents. Enjoy the rest of your day. All right, set your intentions, put it out there into your field. All right, that you're going to have an amazing day and you're going to create awesome shit. Much love, ladies and gents, and I'll see you around about the same time tomorrow. Much love.